cattle futures contracts.
Sure. This was previously discussed to some extent, but again, it's important to remind Nebraskans. In articles from 1991 and 1990, or 1991, 1992, again, Bob Kerrey admitted that he continued to buy and sell cattle futures contracts for 6 months in 1989 after he was a member of the Senate Ag Committee. This has been discussed before, but not investigated in great detail. It's interesting that the Senate recently adopted legislation to prevent the very conduct that Bob Kerrey himself engaged in while in the U.S. Senate. Again, maybe that's what they do in New York. Maybe that's okay. That's not okay with how we do things here in Nebraska.
You have no question that what Senator Fisher did in relation to the land out west, no problems there?
None. None whatsoever. Again, I think that was thoroughly refuted by such reputable individuals as former State Senator Bob Kramer, who said yesterday, you know what, we sponsored this bill at the request of the county clerks, not Deb Fisher. She had nothing to do with it. So I think, again, it shows that what they're trying to do, because they know Bob Kerrey has ethics issues. He has honesty and integrity issues. It's New York values. And so what they're trying to do is try and throw these, again, just mud out there against Deb Fisher with the hope that it will inoculate or protect Bob Kerrey against his own ethical failings.
In addition to those comments, two things that struck me yesterday when I was talking to Vince Powers. Vince Powers says Deb Fisher is not qualified to be in the United States Senate.
It's absurd. Not only has she served on local school boards, she served in the Nebraska State Legislature for 2 terms, has served admirably.
He doesn't think that's long enough.
Well, how long is it with term limits? I mean, again, she has the respect. You look at the quotes of respect of her Democratic fellow lawmakers who've said she's good to work with. She gets things done. She's effective. They may not always agree with her policy, but they respect her. That's why you don't see them out campaigning against her. I mean, how much service does one need? She has adequate service, exemplary service on the local and state level. It's time we need her service in the U.S. Senate.
And how do you compare that to a 1-term governor, 2-term United States Senator, member of the 9/11 Commission, et cetera, et cetera?
Who hasn't lived in Nebraska for over a decade? It's not Bob Kerrey's past service that's at issue. It's the fact that he no longer represents Nebraska values. He's become infected by New York values. And that's wrong. We need a Nebraskan representing Nebraska in the U.S. Senate. Bob Kerrey is no longer one of us. Maybe had he come back here, moved, and become part of the Nebraska community again, and understood our values once again, that'd be different. But he didn't. He flew back on the eve of the filing deadline, and announced he was going to run for the U.S. Senate, pushed aside the other and a Nebraskan who was going to run from his party, pushed him aside, cost him his regent seat. And that's how they do things in New York. They're pushy. They push people around. And he represents New York values. We need a Nebraskan in the U.S. Senate.
Is this race getting tighter?
No. Look, that being said, all races will get tighter as undecided voters start to count one way or another. The most recent polls I've seen still show a significant double-digit lead for Deb Fisher, and I expect that to continue through Election Day.
You dispute Mr. Powers who says it's a single-digit race?
Absolutely. 100%. Those aren't the polls I've seen, and Vince knows better than that.
Oftentimes, when polling's not available to the public, they kind of key in on the commercials. And the more negative the race gets, maybe there's a belief that the race is getting tighter. There's been some pretty good negative ads out there.
Correct. By Bob Kerrey and his liberal super PACs.
On both sides.
Well, again, the focus clearly has been an attempt by the liberal super PACs and Bob Kerrey to try and drive up Deb Fisher's negatives. They're attacking her. That's all Bob Kerrey has left. The only thing he can do between now and Election Day is try and tear her down, and that's what yesterday's press conference was about.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.